Planned Parenthood sells viable, healthy aborted babies who could survive outside the womb to the University of California for experiments, according to further California public records documents that we are now exclusively reporting. I'm David Daleiden with the Center for Medical Progress, and for this story, I'm joined by our new associate reporter, Elise Ketch.
Previously, we told you about Planned Parenthood's flagrantly illegal contractual arrangement to sell so-called proprietary aborted fetuses to UC San Diego for the valuable consideration of owning the intellectual property and patent rights developed from experiments on the body parts. Senator Marco Rubio requested an investigation from the Department of Justice and the Health and Human Services Office of Inspector General, but neither Planned Parenthood nor the University of California has responded to the story publicly. Today, we're uncovering more horrifying realities about the aborted baby harvesting program at Planned Parenthood in Southern California, as documented in research submissions and emails from UC San Diego that we received under our ongoing public records requests. This heavily redacted research plan, submitted to the UCSD Ethics Review Board and approved in 2018, states the project will harvest fetuses up to 6 months old from subjects undergoing elective surgical pregnancy termination at Planned Parenthood and who are carrying viable, non-anomalous fetuses. That means that these 6-month-old prenatal babies are healthy, their mothers are healthy, and they are old enough to survive outside the womb with proper medical care.
The research plan even states that they will verify evidence of fetal heart activity by ultrasound immediately prior to the forceps extraction abortion. This means that the baby is alive while they are being torn out of the mother. And this plan calls for harvesting from up to 2,500 abortions. That's 2,500 cases of a mom and a dad with a baby ripped out early and killed for organ harvesting.
2,500 babies killed and dissected for body parts. Emails exchanged that same year about the harvesting program at Planned Parenthood discussed the times of day that the aborted fetuses become available for organ harvesting. One of the harvesting workers writes, any sample greater than about 12.5 weeks requires the use of a dilating medication, which is given to the patients 3 hours ahead of their procedure. These are called cyto patients. Cyto is short for cytotec, also called misoprostol, which is used in chemical abortions to force start labor contractions to deliver the baby.
In some studies, as little as a 50 microgram dose of misoprostol can induce labor by 4 hours in the majority of cases. The Planned Parenthood standard dosage is 400 to 800 micrograms. That's 8 to 16 times as much. Planned Parenthood actually lists going into labor as a side effect of misoprostol before a forceps abortion and urges clinics not to allow patients to leave after taking it.
The use of heavy doses of misoprostol for several hours before the forceps abortion means these are likely not standard dismemberment abortions, but either intact partial birth abortions or full delivery of the live baby.
Chillingly, in emails where UC San Diego researchers are seeking intact fetal hearts for their experiments, they write to the harvesting laboratory, "Is there someone that we can coordinate with in your lab? We were unclear as to whether you bring the fetuses back to your lab for dissections or if the dissections will be done in clinic."
In another email thread with the subject line heart samples, the harvesting lab writes, how many samples total are you trying to obtain for your study? I have written down that your goal was possibly 12 samples, but we have now given you 27. Apparently, 12 baby hearts was not enough. They wanted more than double that number.
And it gets even worse. The new documents also show sustained racial discrimination in what consent forms for the harvesting program tell pregnant women at Planned Parenthood. The English language forms state, I understand that the donated blood, tissue, or the derivatives may have significant therapeutic or commercial value. But this disclosure about the quote, commercial value of the patient's aborted baby is left off of the Spanish language consent forms entirely. The UC San Diego Institutional Review Board approved these racially disparate translations in at least 4 consecutive years. Why do Planned Parenthood and the University of California seem to believe that the English-speaking pregnant women deserve to be told about the quote, commercial value of their baby's body parts, but Spanish-speaking women do not deserve the same facts?
Here's the problem. If you use misoprostol to induce labor to deliver a viable, healthy, non-anomalous preemie, with an ultrasound documented heartbeat at 23 weeks in a taxpayer-funded abortion clinic. And then instead of rushing that preemie to the local university NICU, you cut the baby's heart out for patent royalty-generating experiments. You're committing the federal crimes not just of partial birth abortion and selling body parts, but also of murder for hire.
Roe versus Wade may have been the law of the land during the time these records were generated, but no longer. Whatever your basic policy position is on abortion, a preemie who can survive with proper medical care
is a human being like you or I with equal rights under the constitutional guarantees to life and liberty. It's time for federal and state action to protect the constitutional rights that are threatened by the illegal taxpayer-funded abortion industry.
Here's what you can do to help. First, contact your federal representatives and ask them to investigate constitutional rights violations against babies old enough to survive outside the womb, and to divest the federal government from support of the abortion industry.
Second, like and share this video report to raise awareness about the brutal reality of killing late-term, viable babies in taxpayer-funded abortion clinics for body part sales, and support our ongoing investigative reporting at www.centerformedicalprogress.org.